welcome to New and In Between, hosted by me, Mia Quinn Maddox, where I'll be discussing the hows and whys to my journey towards my faith. I've learned through my highs and lows that this path is not mine to travel alone. Join me mid journey as I embrace my wins, losses, and everything in between. Hello, everyone. Welcome to New and In Between. I'm your host, Mia Quinn Maddox, and this is season three. Yes, this is season three. A lot has changed, same location, but it's me, just me. It's me and me alone. This is my dream. God gave this dream to me, and if I believe that he gave this to me, then I need to keep taking steps of faith and trust that what I need is what he will give, and the help that I need he will lead me to, which he has done so in such an amazing way. Um, if anyone who's been watching for the last two seasons, and for all those who are new, welcome. But this is my third season. My first season was actually done in the studio of a friend, and then it ended up in my home, and now I'm in a studio. This is my third season. This is my second season in the studio, and I've had lots of great help from some amazing friends, and right now it's just me. So I feel like my help is coming from God. I am nervous. I'm scared, but I am this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna continue to do what I've been doing and just, and see where it goes. So welcome everyone. Welcome. So I'm gonna give a little recap of what's been going on for those who have been following, for those who are new. This is a podcast about life, pretty much about my life, led by God, my life of newly being saved in 2020 during the pandemic. It's also just about my high and my lows and everything in between. A lot of the times we speak about, or we will, we glorify the great things, i.e. Instagram allows us to show all the great things, and it also allows us to show some of the bad things. There's a lot of people who go to Instagram and share things that they're going through, but there is not a lot of the in-between process, the praying, the hoping, the being upset, the bitterness, the unforgiveness, the how I got to where I am now, all the steps that I took in between. So kind of this is what this podcast came from. My strike. I'm a film and television worker. I am a wardrobe supervisor for a television show called FBI Most Wanted, which my sister is a stunt woman. Um, and from that strike, this idea was brought to me, and this is my third season. So, this is what my podcast is. I've had some amazing guests, a lot of my friends, a lot of people who have come across my path just during the last couple of years. And I've had them come and tell their stories of, you know, dealing with the other side of addiction, having a child that's addicted, basically how to deal with that. We all know people who are addicted, or have friends that have parents that are addictive, or siblings or friends. But to have your child is something that I could never imagine. I don't have children, but I wanted her to share that because I'm sure there's more younger children, younger adults that are addicted than we think about. So it was great to have my friend Tiffany on, and I had some great friends from back when I used to be a stylist, Gabrielle Corney, who came and spoke about her mother wounds and just how her life has flourished just from letting go and being so amazing. I've had great friends that I've come across from my career, like Nicholas Pinnock and James Aslope. Um, just so many people, so many people. If you really want to know, you could just go onto YouTube and click like and subscribe. You'll see when the new stuff is coming out, but you would definitely get to see all the stuff that we already did. But in all that saying, I had a great deal of help to get to where I am. Um, and for me, I wanted to just discuss a little bit about help, being humble enough to ask for help, giving help, and the expiration of help. I feel like all help has an expiration date. And I feel like if you're giving or if you're receiving, communication lines need to be very, very, very clear so that when your limit of help has reached or when it's you're finished with, or even setting a limit like, yeah, I can help you for 6 months, or yeah, I can help you tomorrow, or I can help you a few times, or just even putting a limit on what you're going to give so that when you do reach your limit, you don't, it's not feeling like you're just snatching something away from someone and the other person's not being offended. Because I could definitely say me 10 years ago would have definitely been bitter, been angry at the other person, would have probably, been so offended, like, oh, how dare them if they're my friend? Why wouldn't they, continue to do X, Y, and Z, or who knows what I would have thought. But I'm sure um, just who I was before would have been different. But it's just having a more of an understanding and accepting people for who they are and what they give and how much they give. It's all right. I'm grateful for whatever. I needed some help with something. I was humble enough to go into this. I was invited into this amazing Discord group, and Discord is it's like another WhatsApp kind of sort of thing that allows people to make group messages and talk to each other. And I was invited into this group, and I'll go into how I got invited to the group. But I needed help with something, and I just went into the group and said, "Hey, does anybody X, Y, and Z?" And immediately got an answer. And then immediately we switched phone numbers. And then now I'm on a Zoom call, and this woman who I don't know from anywhere is taking the time out of her day to teach me step by step how to do something. And I was so grateful for her, and she didn't want anything from me. I don't even know her last name. She doesn't even know my last name. We didn't even get into detail about what it is, our persons. I needed help. She was able to provide me help, and I was so grateful for it. So that example there gave me the more of a push to just keep going forward. Without, I've been given all the tools to get to here. So now it's time for me to use the tools that I was given to go forward. And if I need anything else, I have to just trust that God is going to give me that. He's given me this so far. But it's also my dream. So I know that if this is my dream, then I have to continue doing what I need to do to make it, successful. And understanding that, when I do ask for help, what is given is what I'm given, and I'm going to be happy with that. And in return, I'm going to make sure that I give help to people. So, even when it's times that I do things and I don't want to, but I also remember the times that people have helped me when I'm sure they didn't want to. So it's a give and take, and I know that I need help, so I'm gonna give more than I get, and that's just where we're at. So I just wanted to suggest to people who are asking for help to be realistic, to be empathetic, to be understanding, and also to be understanding if someone says no. Um, and when giving help, to be very communicative with how much help you are willing to give. And when you feel like you've given enough help, to be able to say that, like, hey, I think I've helped you enough. I'm going to, draw the line here, or I'm going to end this at the end of the month, or, and not being offended other side when that happens. So that, just keeping that in mind from the beginning would probably make a lot of relationships stronger, as far as when something is taken away or stopped or told no, that we're not being offended or measuring our relationship on that. So I just wanted to share that, because as I move through the process of this podcast, I have a lot of friends that are helping me. And when they are when the help has expired, then they're not being my friends anymore, which is kind of crazy because I'm not upset and I want to see you win, and I want to, I want this to become a number one podcast, and who knows what it could turn into, a talk show or anything. And I want to bring all the people who have helped me up with me. But I also know that I can't want for everybody. I just have to do what I have to do for me, and if it's supposed to be, then it will. And I won't have any hard feelings or any bitterness about, about anything. It is what it is. I'm here. I'm happy. I'm grateful. And I know that I want to see my friends flourish and follow their dreams. So thank you, everyone, every single person, every guest, every person, even the friends who I don't even think are watching, every text message that's giving me the encouragement to, like, hey, I saw your podcast. It's really great. Keep going. Even those little drops are just, they're filling me up so much to just keep going forward. So I thank everyone. I thank everyone for every word, every second of your day that you've taken, to watch or even just to text and comment. I'm grateful. So to all the help that I will receive, to all the help that I will give, to all the help that I've received, thank you. And at this point, I'm gonna let God's will be done, and that's it. So, I just wanted to go over, just talk about how I felt about, help, and maybe, you know, changing someone's mindset on asking, humbling themselves enough to ask, because a lot of times too we say, "Oh, no one ever helps me," but then do you ever ask? I know I didn't. I know I would always do everything on my own. No one helps me. No one helps me. No one helps me. Until I sat down and was like, girl, no one helps you because you don't ask. So I started asking. And you know what happened? I started getting help. And now I can help others because it's just what I do. I give what I want. So there we go. That's that on help. But for this season, I think I'm going to focus on all the great men that I know in my life. Um, so this summer, and everyone who has been watching, I have to, just keep repeating. I've joined a bowling league, the summer bowling league. I started bowling in January, seriously, consistently. A great community of guys. My brother, we kind of infiltrated my brother's bowling team, bowling community that he has. And me and my sister have become a part of this bowling community of these great men. And we have a great time. And we joined a bowling league over the summer. I've never played a sport seriously. I've never competed in any kind of sport, um, ever. And to do it on a competitive level with some really great bowlers, I was really proud of myself. And we came in fourth out of I think it was 22 teams or something like that. I can't remember, but I know we did come in fourth, and I was very proud of that. But in that experience, I get to be around some really dope dudes, some really average dudes, some really trashy dudes, a little mix of everything. But in the most part, for me, in my seek of a husband or just, in a partner, I have to be around to know what's going on, right? So if I'm always in my home or, I'm not going to the club, I'm just not doing that. It's not my thing anymore. But for me, in order to really understand men, and you got to be around them. So that's what I'm trying. That's what I've been doing. So I've been around, and I was actually, I had an experience with a narcissist, which is crazy because I've had this experience before, but in my experience, in my growth, in my wisdom that I've obtained, in my understanding, I was able to recognize the situation in the person. This I don't know if you would call it a characteristic or a, either way, I was able to recognize it, and I was able to recognize it so fast because normally, listen, I've been in the same situation with the same type of men, and it took me a lot longer, maybe a year or two, and a broken heart. This took me really quick. I was like, oh, foul, 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 no collecting red flags. I was like, okay, no, this is it. And in the instance of me, running across a type of this person, I'm able to recognize it in some of the other men that I know and meet, and it's interesting. It's really interesting. But I say that all to say that after that experience, I kind of got discouraged and like, oh gosh, is this what I'm gonna have to go through? Like, am I gonna ever meet anyone who's like decent? And I don't want decent because I know if I'm keep saying I'm a dreamer and I'm above average and I want to be above with above average people, then I have to just keep saying that no, who God has for me is above average, and I know it's taking me a minute to get to this above average point. So maybe it's still taking him a little minute to get to his above point average so that we can meet together. But I was very disappointed and kind of discouraged and like, oh, I'm over it. I'm not dating no more. I'm not even doing this anymore. Like, this is stupid. But I had to, go through that moment and then really say, okay, Mia, if you're still attracting this type of person, there must be something that's, it's like, let's dig a little deeper within yourself of what's going on, of why you're still attracting this type of person. So I got a new therapist, which has been great, and she's been helping me to identify my attachment styles so that I'm able to recognize when I'm um, doing things, or not even really so much doing things, but understand just why I am how I am, so that I could do differently. I've been taught from being, from a broken home, independence. My mother has taught me to make sure you have your own, to work hard, to always have your own, to make sure you could do everything on your own. I watch her do everything on her own. I mean, don't get me wrong, it takes a village. I had my grandmother and my aunts and family, but for the most part, you watch single mothers do things on their own. You watch women take care of the family on their own. So, in the midst of me seeing all of this, I've become the person that I am, who is beyond independent. So, I'm just trying to unteach myself all of the things um, that I've learned, because there's other ways. And now that we know that there's other ways, that's what I'm doing. So, being around all these great men, and just starting to remember all of the great men that I've been around throughout my career, and just on a day to day, great fathers. Um, my nephew is on a baseball team that there's a lot of amazing, great fathers that I come across and have conversations with, and you could tell that they're great men because I get to see their sons and how they act and how they, and how kind they are and how they play and how confident they are in the game of baseball. So I felt like it was important for me this season to showcase some of the dope men that I know, because I do know a lot of dope men, and regardless of, maybe they may not be, there's, and I'm gonna say this because I may think they're dope, and I'm sure there's someone in this world who may think that they're not, but everyone, I'm sure there's tons of people who think that I'm not either, but I know I'm sitting here right now as dope as I could be. So, who cares what people think? But for the most part, I want to sit down with a lot of the men that I know and just have conversations with them about things that we as women, um we talk about, or we think that they're thinking about, or the way we think that they think, which is usually not even the case. So, just even in the world that we're in today, with all the women who have work done, and now it's like natural bodies and done bodies, and what's better and what's not better, and who's better, and what men desire and what they don't, and what women desire and what we don't, and just all the ways of the world. But I feel like just having these open conversations with some really dope men, um, may change the mindsets of some women, or may help them, or may guide them, or even of men. So this season, look forward to that. I don't want to say who, but I do have some really, really, really dope friends. I mean, if you watched, then you saw the guests that I had prior, and those people were super dope. So it has to stay on the same level. But that's what I'm really working towards. Also, too, I am going to do a segment, either a segment or an episode, depending. I'm still working it out. And if you guys would like to give me a little bit of input, I don't mind that either. It's very helpful. But I am as I'm a person who is new, not too new to faith, because I always believed in God, but being saved and gaining a new wisdom and understanding for how God wants my life to be and who He is. I wanted to share my process, because I have a lot of friends who, even for me, like, I pray for their salvation. I want them to gain an understanding of God and have their lives improved, because I've seen mine. But it's hard for me to, so I share church with them when I watch online. I share, I have a prayer group that I have on my phone that I share. It's called the Prayer Plug. I share that with a group of friends. But I feel like for me, I needed to do a little bit more. So a friend of mine, Joy, who was on last season, she gifted me with this amazing 10 episode breakdown. And it's basically a series about new faith. And I'm going to use it to just basically break down my process of, from being saved to how just what I do, my prayer life, my, just everything that I do to where I've gotten to now, because I know that there's a big difference even in my mindset, how I forgive, how I pray, just how my daily life works, how I work through troubles, how I get through, how I stay happy. Like sometimes I be in the worst situations and I still feel joy. And I wanted to share that with people, because I do have a lot of friends who um I used to enjoy, and I wouldn't even say really enjoy. A lot of friends that I have, that I had, that I'm outgrowing, and I'm realizing where I was. Like, I have some friends that I find to be, they say misery loves company. And I'm like, well, gosh, this person is so miserable. How was I ever their friend? But I have to go back to the moment when we were friends. I was miserable too. And I want to see those same friends come out of the misery that I also was in, because I understand and I see and I feel and I'm proof that life does get better regardless of our situations. So for me, just sending the prayer and sharing church with my friends and praying for them isn't enough. I feel like if I could give people like a step by step of what I do, the resources that I use, the sermons that I go back to, the podcast that I listen to, the music that I listen to, um, it would maybe help, help. It would be more of a guide to help my friends also, but just help anybody who's maybe, thinking about rededicating their life to God, or even just hitting their rock bottom and not knowing knowing where to go and how to do. Because I was there. So I feel like my friend Joy, who is a godsend, definitely blessed me with something amazing, and I'm going to do that also. So I'm gonna have all the dope men that I know, and I'm also gonna work on just sharing my day to day steps of new faith, how to get there, what to do, how to stay motivated, how to be faithful. It's hard sometimes to trust. For me, I felt like I've done, like, I know God was always in my life, but I felt like I've always done everything in my own. Like, this is all because of me. I work hard, blah, 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 this. And then, it's different now that I know when I'm running late and I still get to work on time, and I got 75 rooms to set and I set them all and everything's correct. And, if there's traffic, how I'm staying at peace in traffic, which is an absolute, I mean, for me, road rage, cursing, carrying on, just being in a rush, has been such a part of my day to day, and it hasn't been. And I get to work and I feel better. I'm not in a rush. I'm not running. You know, it's just, I know it's nothing but just from my practices, from praying, from walking, letting God lead my steps. I know that for sure. Where I am now is not, it's my choice, but it's His command. And I want to share that experience with my friends, especially, the ones that are stuck in the past. I have so many friends who have really, really, really done amazing things in their lives, but they think that's all that they've done. So they stay stuck on the accomplishments that they did 20 years ago or 25 years ago, and they talk about, that's all they talk about. And it's more than a little bit, which is making me, which has made me even think about it. And even myself too, like just being attached to my greatest moments, me thinking that those are my greatest moments, and being able to reminisce, because my past does make me, your past does make, it's brought you to where you are, but not staying stuck in it, and not yeah, not staying stuck in it. That's the worst part. um yeah, not staying stuck in the past. So I just hope that I'm able to share my share my growth with my friends and my process with my friends and whoever else, just people who watch, or who's questioning, or who's having doubt in life, or feeling stuck. Because sometimes I do feel that way too, or feeling scared. um I mentioned a little while back about when I was asking for help and being invited into this group called this Discord group. So I went to, it was called the Pardon My Glow Summit. Shari Bryant, Pink is Love on Instagram, she hosted this panel, Pardon My Glow Summit. It was so dope. I went by myself. And one of the, well, I was actually, I saw, I have a girlfriend who was also here, Naja, a guest here. She was going to be on this panel, and I saw it across her Instagram, and I wanted to surprise her by supporting her because she supported me. And it ended up being such an amazing event. And Shari, she was the organizer. She's the host. She has this amazing group called Pink is Love, organization called Pink is Love. And she had, it was Naja, it was Brown Girl Shay, Brown Girl Shay or Brown Girl She. Forgive me for saying it wrong, but I follow her on Instagram. She's really dope. Misa, Shari, and she had some other commentators and some other people there. But those are the ones that I remember because they resonated to me. And for me, it was important. Like, not even important. Just Misa. Misa was a stylist that was someone that I looked up to. Someone who I I'm gonna share a story. When I was coming up, somehow or the other, I got her phone number, and I was trying to. This when I was trying to really get into the styling world, and I was calling her, and I was calling June Ambrose, and I was leaving a message for June Ambrose every week. I was leaving a message for Misa Hilton at the time every week, and I was leaving a message for Grace Harry every week. Every week, consistently. I wanted to work for any. Grace Harry was a video chancellor who gave me the opportunity. But those two stylists, June and Misa, were the two biggest stylists that I knew of in the hip hop world at the time, and I wanted to work with either one of them. So, my midst of just trying to get into the game, I was able to get their phone numbers, and I would call on like clockwork. I never got to work with either one of them, but when I took over 50, Misa had 50. So it was Tiffany, Misa, and then I took over from Nia. And I felt like I had stepped into such big shoes because Misa was such a name and such a great stylist. Um, and it made me feel so powerful to have taken over something from someone that I thought was so powerful. So it was amazing to hear her. Just not even amazing to hear her because you see that she still works, but I don't know her personally, so all I can hear is her from Instagram. But I do have a friend who did work with her who always compares our not just mine, but me and my friends. She always compares our resumes to hers, and feeling that someone should be further because their resume or whatever the case may be. And to hear her, she spoke about just basically her journey and where she was and how she had to turn to God. She had hit some real low valleys, and how she was able to maintain. I had to lean on God. God pulled me up out of this, and now I'm flourishing again, and I'm able to do this, and this started happening, and this started happening. And the more I lean on God, the more happens, and the more I lean on God, the more this happens. And I was so happy that I went to the event and I was able to see her. And I was able to hear Shari talk just about even just doing, doing that summit and doing it scared. And in that moment, that kind of resonated with me, and I saved it. I wrote it in my phone, and I'm doing this scared. So thank you, Shari, for that word, and for that summit, and for just allowing me to be around those group of women. And then so basically she wanted to do like a group text, and of course we all hate group texts on the phone, but she wanted to do like a group text so that we could stay in touch with each other, and lean on each other and reach out to each other. So that's how the Discord app got introduced to me, and she started a Discord group. And that's where I was able to ask for the help. But it was just such a great, it's like I went to a summit to support a friend. I was there to hear someone who I looked up to speak, which encouraged me more. And now I'm able to get this, be invited into this group and ask for help to help me do something that I'm doing here. So it's like all these little things I'm starting to look at it like, oh, okay, all right, that was a benefit, that was a benefit, that was a benefit, that was a benefit. I was afraid to go. I'm not so much afraid because I go out by myself all the time, but whenever I go out by myself, I'm always scared because who wants to go to an event by themselves? Who wants to, you need your girlfriend or someone there so that you could, talk back and forth to, or, say, yeah, I agree with that or something. But I didn't. I went anyways, and I was able to obtain all these great things, and hear these women and get introduced into a group and ask for help and do it scared. And even brown girl Shay, she mentioned also too, like, just not knowing, like, am I doing this right, and having imposter syndrome, and not knowing if this was for her or not. And I think she's so dope. And I was following her beforehand, just a woman who looked like me, who wasn't 21, who was, who had I just thought her style was just impeccable style, beautiful smile. I didn't know anything about her except that she got dressed. So I was able to learn that she's dope. She works for Coach. She's a mom. She's a wife. She's able to balance all these things and still be great. So it was great. It was a great experience. And that's how I was. I just wanted to share about how I got invited into the Discord group. But if you guys do have Instagram, follow Pink is Love. She's dope. Shari Bryant. Um, and maybe attend one of, I hope that she's going to do more of the Part of My Glow summits, because it was such a great experience for myself, in the Samsung Galaxy building right there in the meatpacking. It was pretty dope, and to be in that area was even better. So that was that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's kind of what we're doing right now, and just hoping that I'm able to use all the tools that I have been given throughout this time. Am I nervous? You know what? I'm not so much nervous. I'm nervous before I come here with a guest because I always want to make sure that I'm saying the right thing. I know I'm super capable of doing this because I'm talking about my life. I'm a chatty patty. Being able to speak to, like, basically saying out loud what the fear is that you have so that you can let it go. And that clip is, I closed out my Instagram, opened it up again, was able to scroll, but that same audio just kept playing, kept playing, kept playing, kept playing. It was so weird. It just kept playing, kept playing, kept playing. I would close my Instagram out, come back. I could still scroll through, but that audio just kept playing, kept playing. So I just kept listening to it because I'm like, if it's playing for me to hear for something. So for me, I also I wrote down all the things that I was fearful about with this podcast. Um, Me not being consistent because I am back to work and my work does take a lot of my time. Um, but I also know that, so I have that fear, right? So now this is for me how I find that I'm getting through, like, pushing through these things. So in my process of praying and listening to sermons, I go to some of the people that I feel are resonate to me when I listen to their stuff. So I'll go to Darius Daniels, Pastor Darius Daniels, Pastor Darius Daniels from Change Church, and he had it was an old sermon, not old, like a few weeks ago, and he was talking about being above average, and knowing that you're above average and working harder. And me, I'm like, God, what am I doing? Like, what else am I supposed to be doing? And I feel like in those fears of me being consistent, I have to work harder. If I work harder, then I'll be consistent. um Meaning work harder, meaning like when I don't want to do something, stop being lazy, like get up and do it. You know it's not going to benefit anybody but yourself, so why would you not do for yourself? Laying in this bed is being average. Getting up and pushing through and working towards a goal, that's for me is being above average. Going far and beyond, I want to be above average, so I know that I have to work a little bit harder. So when I say my fear out loud, I get an answer to how to fix it in some which way or the other. I'm studying right now Proverbs because it's the wisdom book of the Bible, and it's crazy because it's like it's real short things. People run their lives by their own stupidity, so why does God always get blamed? It's only human to want to make a buck, but it's better to be poor than a liar. They say if you lie, you steal. So now we see where we get a lot of these things from. But it's the process, and it's how I'm working through my process and my fears. You know, I meet so many people who are like, "Oh my God, I wanted to start a podcast." I'm like, "Well, why don't you?" And then they come with all these things that, "Oh, I don't this and this and this," and I'm like, "Yep, I was there." And then I share what I did, and I share the studio. It's going to be great. It's going to be real great. It's going to be really, really, really good. And I would love for people to give me some feedback on what they thought. I have as I'm speaking to some of my friends, some of them are giving me feedback, and just on topics, on things that, maybe I could discuss. And I wanted to make sure that we touch on self-image and what we think that, is great self-image. And I also think I'm gonna have maybe invite like if there's anyone who is wanting to start a podcast who's unsure, maybe come in and being my viewer. I would love that, and seeing how it works, and maybe learning a little bit from me as I go. I would be great. I would That would be great for me to do. So if that's something that you're looking to do, or even just to come and see what it is to do a podcast, I would love to have a guest because it's kind of like my talk show, like how they do on late night television. So or Tamara Hall. So I'm welcoming that too, as in me helping someone. So if you guys are that or would like to do that, hit me up. Click like and subscribe. New and in between, season 3. I'm Mia Quinn Maddox. Peace.